G'day folks, here's my review of Mortiferum from America, playing with Faceless Burial, Altars and Contaminated on a boat in Sydney Harbour. G'day folks, welcome back to the channel. It's Sunday now, but on Friday afternoon I nicked off from work and drove all the way to Sydney from Canberra and went on a harbour cruise. I saw Mortiferum from Seattle, I believe. They played with Faceless Burial, Altars and Contaminated on a 3-level ferry, which was pretty bloody cool, let me tell you. So yeah, after a stressful week, it was very nice to just sneak off at 2 o'clock and jump in the car and head up the Federal Highway, which included going past Lake George, which is a very large body of water now. Not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, it was empty. I'm glad we've had a bit of rain since, but as a very young kid, we lived pretty close to that. And I remember swimming in it as a kid, and it stunk horribly. But anyway, I'm pretty used to that trip, so yeah, it went along pretty well on the way. I actually listened to this. This is Twin Peaks sort of audio book, essentially. This is the final dossier. My good friend Katie brought me this back from America. Thank you very much. So there's like 3 discs of someone just reading, and it's essentially file notes from Twin Peaks, the TV show. Kind of fills in between the 2nd series and the 3rd series. I'm a big fanboy, as you may well imagine. So yeah, well, it was good. I like audio books for trips. It makes them go a little faster, I reckon. Alright, there was plenty of death metal as well, so it's all good. So after checking into my quality hotel, which yeah, I'm very pleased, the nice people of YEHS Hotel or whatever upgraded me to a double, which was still pokey as buggery. I'd originally booked a single because it was just me, so it's only a bed. So yeah, I was happy with that. It looked very similar to the room I'd stayed in last time, so it's all good. It's a nice handy venue right in the city, so I was a lazy boy, so I jumped in an Uber, went down to the wharf, which is where the ferry that we cruised around on left from. It's an area now called Barangaroo. It's an area that didn't used to be as fancy as it is now. I'll put a bit of footage up because it's, yeah, pretty spiffy looking. Includes the giant Crown Casino, I think, and yeah, it's just really nice part of the world. Not where I expected, like, you know, a couple hundred metalheads to be milling around. I don't think anyone else quite expected it as well. There was a few amusing looks, so but yeah, come 8 o'clock, in the boat came, slowly reversing in. I'll put it on camera sped up because it was slow. And yeah, thankfully the band had already loaded, so everyone piled on, and yeah, essentially the boat was 3 levels. So the bottom level was where the band played. It was no stage, which was a slight failing of it. I mean, it's not the boat's fault because the ceiling's only like, you know, 8 foot or 9 foot tall, so couldn't really have much of a stage, especially with one of the guitarists from Mortiferum's a tall lad. So yeah, the band played on the floor essentially, which was a bit tricky for actually being able to see them, but no. But yeah, unfortunately the PA was a bit obscured by the crowd at time. It could be a little higher, so the sound wasn't perfect, but no, it was a grand time. So yeah, there was a bar on that level. Next level up was a merch area, so, and they had seats and stuff, thankfully, and yeah, another bar there. And then out on the back middle deck, they had a barbecue going for some snags, of which I had one that was, yeah, edible, I suppose. And then the top level, I'll put a bit of footage of that up, probably wisely with me talking over the top of it, because I'd probably get pinged for stealing creator songs. Yeah, that was open air area where everyone could hang out and, you know, look around at the surrounds. There was a DJ set up there playing heavy metal, so no, that was fun. Although one thing I'll comment on it, because I've been on 2 ferry ones before, like 20-something years ago. Exhumed, when they first toured Australia, played on a ferry that was a lot smaller than that. It was only like 1 level, I think, maybe 2, but that was, and I think I also saw Fuck 'Em Dead and Garbage Guts on another one, which was bloody killer. Same ferry. But those ran during the day, so they started at like midday or, you know, 1 o'clock or something or other, so it was all light the whole time, whereas this one started at 8. And, I mean, it's daylight savings, but still, an hour into it, it was dark. So it's kind of nice looking at the back of the city because there's, you know, pretty lights and stuff. You go under the bridge. I put a bit of footage of that. But it just seemed a bit kind of wasted, like when we were out in the heads, like, because Sydney Harbour's bloody big. There's a lot of little inlets and bits everywhere. It was just dark. So I'd recommend maybe running it during the day. I mean, it still worked fine, but just as far as make it more picturesque, I enjoyed it on the previous one, especially for Exhumed when they were playing, you know, the front door. You could wander out onto the front deck, and so they did. And, you know, there's a guitarist doing solos at yachts full of probably reasonably wealthy people just looking in going, what the bloody hell are those, you know, 100 friggin' metalheads headbanging and swaying doing? So yeah, it was good for a laugh, but it was still grand fun. So and it was it was probably interesting back in those days because, you know, everyone would get smashed because you're on a boat, nothing else to do other than watch bands and drink beer. So they'd let everyone off at, like, you know, 5 o'clock, pissed as idiots, and stumbling around the city. Whereas at least this docked at, I think, midnight. So yeah, it was a bit more. There was plenty of other pissed people around, put it that way. Now, I will warn you, the footage that I captured is not amazing, I've got to say. I used my little small Osmo Pocket thing instead of my big fancy camera with a decent mic, so the sound is pretty boomy, especially on the even heavier bands, Contaminated and Mortiferum, so yeah, it's not the greatest. I mean, it was grand at the time. Some of the bands had slight sound issues, but yeah, my footage isn't amazing. And plus, they're not on stage, so it's like me holding the camera above my head, hoping that it's sort of, you know, focusing on the band. So yeah, the sound could be better on these. So I'm hoping someone else probably videoed it. So check YouTube. You never know. If not, buy their albums. I'll put the links below to the various bands because they all kick ass a lot. But yeah, don't get your hopes up. First up were Melbourne death metal bozos Contaminated, who are friggin' heavy. Jesus. I think I've only seen them maybe twice. Definitely once they played in Canberra, which was pretty cool, but I might have seen them once or twice before that. And yeah, they were ridiculously heavy, way heavier than I've seen them before. They got probably the best sound, I reckon, of the night somehow. I think their music's slightly simpler. I mean, definitely more simpler than Ulcers and Faceless Burial, who are pretty friggin' tech. But yeah, these guys just deep as hell. It's immediate thought, Hemdale. And that's a very big compliment. And they were pleased when I told them that. Especially when I think they're going to cover a Hemdale song soon. So they played all new songs, all off their new album that should be out next month, I think. I'll put a picture of it up, so definitely keep an eye out. I think it's coming out on Blood Harvest, maybe. So I didn't recognise any songs. I don't care. They all sounded bloody good. Vocals were super deep. I think it's Mark from Shackles that sings for him now. It's not Zev anymore. And yeah, he sounded bonza. It was pretty friggin' hot in the crowd, I gotta say. This is only the first band. It was pretty smelly in the crowd at times as well. There was plenty of BO action. And yeah, from all reports, it was pretty warm for the band, according to Christoph. So, but yeah, they put on a killer show. It was just good sort of mix of the blastier stuff, but also just chugger, heavy, deep riffs, killer stuff. I think it was the last song maybe, or second last, it had this really nice sort of tremolo finish, death metal-y sounding bit in it. Yeah, they were killer. Nearly the highlight of the night, but yeah, very good start. Next up are Alters, who I'm not actually 100% sure where they're from these days. I think originally they were from South Australia, but then maybe moved to Melbourne. The drummer lives in Canberra, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, let's just say they're Australian. Yeah, them and Faceless Burial are the more tech bands of the night, and unfortunately, Alters suffered the most from the sound. It was not the greatest, to tell the truth. I mean, you could still work out quite a lot that was going on. It was still very intense, but yeah, they're a band that it's probably the band I'm least familiar with, so I didn't really know every single little bit of the songs to let the old memory fill it in when the sound was a bit shit. Plus, I had some weird distortion going on. I'm not quite sure there, so yeah, that was a shame, and I'm still kicking myself. I didn't go see them and Convulsing play in Canberra like I don't know a year ago or something, because I've watched the footage of that. I'll put the footage below because it's bloody killer. And yeah, that was stupid. I didn't go to that, but anyway. So yeah, they were very enjoyable, but yeah, they're not the tallest either. So you could barely see it, which was kind of amusing. So yeah, after a while, I sat down because it still sounded just as good, and I'm an old fat geezer, so I wanted to preserve my poor knees, which are suffering at this stage. But yeah, I could still hear them very well, and it sounded bloody killer. It was kind of weird sitting there watching on Google Maps where we were in the middle of a harbour. It was a little surreal, I gotta say, but no, it was good fun. But yeah, they were still in fine form. I could definitely tell that, but yeah, just couldn't quite make out. I think one of the songs, I can't remember what it's called, off the newer album, I actually knew pretty well, and that sounded bloody good. I'll put the name up down below when I work out what the hell it was. But oh yeah, I'd highly recommend seeing them, just maybe not on that PA. On third were Faceless Burial from Melbourne, and more sort of tech deathy kind of stuff. Surprisingly, they were aided by the crappy sounding PA. I don't understand why. It was kind of weird because they're pretty bloody tech as well, but for some reason the grittier part of it just, I don't know, helped for me at any rate, so I was pleased with that. I'm quite surprised. Unfortunately though, due to tall people in the crowd, and I don't think I was that short, I'm over 6 foot, but bloody youths, must be taller. Yeah, I couldn't really see them all that well, so I sort of snuck down the side, which is where my crappy footage is from. That's why you can't actually hear any of the guitars or vocals, but I really enjoy watching Max, the drummer. He's a bloody good drummer for starters, but he's an animated chap, you could say. He gets into it, which is a lot of the allure, I think. So yeah, I sort of got on the side, which missed the PA, but yeah, got to enjoy the Max show. And yeah, they're in fine form. I mean, both them and Alters have been touring quite a bit of late, so they're all pretty bloody tight. I mean, I've never not seen Faceless Burial tight, but yeah, they're going all right. So the crowd appreciated it as well. They were getting a bit more active, bit of moshing action going on, which, considering the whole thing was pretty tight, and you also don't want to mosh too hard and get, pushed out a window into the city harbour, might not be too good. Yeah, they ripped. For some reason, the vocals seemed even deeper than usual, so that was quite impressive. I was glad with that. So yeah, an impressive set. And lastly, in winner of probably the crappiest footage that I got was Mortiferum from Seattle, I believe, in America, who was stonkingly heavy. Holy crap, that was impressive. Just stupid heavy, detuned, death doomy sort of stuff. Actually, it was kind of weird. Like, they had a lot more faster bits than I remember from the album, so I don't know. Maybe there were new faster songs. I don't think so, though, so maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention, but yeah, the sound worked perfect for them, especially on the slower bits. It was just, yeah, I don't know why the more simpler bands were just like super powerful. Maybe it was where I was standing, I don't know, but and yeah, so they played in almost darkness, although I think someone turned a light on partway through at any rate, so you could sort of see them, but at first it was just dark. But I had actually seen them before at this festival in, what was it, Eternal Warfare Festival in Portland in 2019. They thankfully played on the day that I didn't get incredibly drunk and miss Evoken and Shape of Despair like an idiot. Anyway, they played the day before when I was still conscious and only a bit drunk, and were bloody killer there. But I seem to recall that gig, which was on a big stage. It sounded good. You should be able to see them. They were just like coated in smoke and pretty much played in darkness again, I think. So yeah, I never actually knew what they looked like, but oh well. Unsurprisingly, 4 blokes. Actually, I don't know if they all had long hair, but most of them did. But yeah, I reckon it sounded even better than on record. And their records, their 2 albums, are bloody killer. So is the demo thing, but yeah, live it was just very powerful. And yeah, more intense than I expected, really. Like, the vocalist was really getting into it. The crowd was enjoying it a bit as well. There was a bit of movement. So, that was very impressive. Very impressive set. If you get the chance to see Mortiferum, go for it. I always thought they were called Mortiferum, but apparently it's Mortiferum. The more you know. So yeah, that was absolutely killer. And I had a music story about Mortiferum. I was chatting with Dave, one of the promoters, earlier on in between bands, and he was telling me that because they just toured like China and Thailand and stuff, apparently to get into China, they had to film themselves. This is just to get the visa and entry. They had to film a rehearsal with all their faces showing, just so, and the whole set that they were going to play, provide the lyrics and the music and the video, and just so that the Chinese government could make sure that A, those 4 blokes coming in were Mortiferum, and B, apparently someone had to go to the gig to make sure they played those songs. Obviously not a protest song or something or other. So Dave and I were having a good chuckle about the poor person that had to do that. I wonder if they were like, normally a Beyonce fan or something, and like put Mortiferum on and go, what the hell is this shit? hopefully they were metal fans and were like, yeah, this is a damn good job. But yeah, who knows? But yeah, it sounds like, but they succeeded. I saw pictures of it. It sounded like they had a huge crowd, which, considering the country's 1.5 billion people, you pretty good chance there's a few more Death Doom fans there. So yeah, that was quite the story. So the boat docked at about midnight, apparently. I was sitting there chatting with a random bloke that I'd run into who obviously went to a ton of gigs that I went to back in Canberra as well. I think he lives in Sydney now, but yeah, he used to play in a band called Woof that says like it was a muck around band, but I definitely saw him because I got this flyer for him when they played with Tumbleweed and Pod People, so good work. It was good to meet him. But yeah, I didn't even realise we docked and there's people leaving. It's like, oh, okay, time to go. And then we got moved on rather rapidly. So yeah, I parked it and went back to my hotel and didn't really have an early one, but lay around sweating a lot. But the next day, Simon from Explosive Action, poor chap, had been ill in hospital, so he couldn't make the gig. He probably could have, but yeah, I don't think being stuck on a boat for 4 hours, if in case you get sicker, would be too ideal. So poor chap missed it. But yeah, we met up in Newtown the next day to do a spot of shopping that you can see probably on his channel. I'll put a link below to it. So yeah, I drove, and it's really not that far from the CBD to Newtown. Of course, I managed to miss my proper turn and get lost a bit in Redfern and driving around. It wasn't the end of the world. There were signs that said Newtown. I figured I'd get there eventually. I could always backtrack. So I eventually got a park that was possibly legal. Didn't get a ticket, so that's all that matters. And then met up with Simon. We went to who trained in from his house. We went to Egg Records first, which has been there forever. It had a reasonable range of stuff, but nothing quite piqued my interest there. Then we went down to Repressed Records, where I bought a few things. I'll show these now, even though it kind of spoils my future collection update, but who cares? Death metal, Malignant Altar, Russian Death Doom, Gossida, and the main one I wanted from there was Ascended Dead with their newer album. Even Fall of the Apocalypse is more American death metal. And while I was there, I got sucked by a tape. So this is a Sydney death metal band, Anoxia, their Languish in Suffering demo. So I couldn't resist that. After that, we went to the Town Hall, classic late night pub where I've been to way too many times after gigs, and it's like, let's go to the townie, and everyone's like, yeah, why not? But yeah, well, it was good during the day when I wasn't ridiculously already drunk, so had a couple of beers and a nice schnitty, and a damn good chat. He's a top bloke, Simon. So after that, we strolled over to Papa Disco, which is, I don't think it used to be there in the past. Very slim store with not much space in it, but a shitload of records. It was opposite Enmore Theatre. So, and I picked up this What Happens Next, one of their albums. So, I was pretty happy with that. Decent little haul. T-shirts that I bought on the gig itself. Might as well show them off. Got a Contaminated one. Hopefully that you can see that all right. And the tour one of Mortiferum themselves, which is pretty spiffy. A couple of dates on the back. So yeah, good little haul, I gotta say. Wasn't too good on the wallet, but well, what the hell. These things happen. So all in all, bloody good weekend. Thanks heaps to Southern Extremities for bringing out Mortiferum. That was a killer bloody gig, really enjoyable. And Simo's, it was a damn fine venue despite my whinging. It was really, really fun being on a boat, cruising around. Occasionally it'd rock and everyone's like, oh. It was a bit choppy at times, which was kind of amusing. And yeah, thanks again to Simon for the suggested meetup. It was a grand time. So yeah, the trip back home was long and uneventful and somewhat boring, but got here eventually, so yeah, very fun time indeed. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.